Let's be honest. Most people today are buried in noise, scrolling endlessly, chasing approval, lost in surface-level pleasures. Focus has become a rare skill, and in that noise, the one person we abandon is ourselves. But here's the truth: if you don't make yourself a priority, the world won't either. If you don't take ownership of your mind, your energy, your direction, someone else will. You'll be pulled, shaped, and scattered by everything around you. Real growth begins in silence. Just like the pianist who trains for hours alone, sweating, adjusting, wanting to quit, only to one day sit beneath the lights and move the room to stillness. Success doesn't come from applause. It comes from repetition, from the hours no one sees. As Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. This video is about building that kind of inner focus. We'll explore 6 Stoic principles to help you protect your attention, train quiet discipline, and create a life that's calm, clear, and unstoppable from within. Welcome to Stoic Philosophy Daily, where your story matters. Share your experience or biggest challenge below. Every comment you leave is a gift. Here, your voice matters. This is more than a channel. It's a circle of strength, so ask yourself, if the world went silent, would you still be clear on who you are? If not, let's begin. 1. Know your enemy. Distraction. You're not failing because you're weak. You're failing because you're distracted. Distraction today doesn't crash in like a storm. It seeps in quietly. One scroll, one click, one harmless video, until suddenly an hour is gone, your energy is gone, and worse, your mind is no longer yours. In today's world, your attention is a commodity. Social media, news, messages, alerts, each one competing not just for your time, but your energy. The Stoics didn't face TikTok, but they understood this truth. Whatever enters your mind shapes your life. As Epictetus warned, if someone gave your body to a stranger, you'd be furious, yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along. Ask yourself, how many days have you felt busy but ended them with no progress? That's not laziness, that's hijacked attention, like someone trying to fill a leaking jar. Every morning starts full of intention, but by night it is empty again. Not because they did nothing, but because their attention was poured into a dozen tiny cracks. A quick scroll, a reply to drama, a rabbit hole of random content. Their dreams weren't crushed. They were quietly drained, drop by drop. The reason distraction works so well is that it feels good. That dopamine rush from a like, a laugh, or a new video tricks your brain into thinking something meaningful just happened. But it didn't. That hit of pleasure delays real progress. And over time, what you postpone becomes what you abandon. Try this. For the next 3 days, track your biggest attention traps. Each time you get pulled off course, pause and write it down. No judgment, just awareness. Then choose one boundary to set. I suggest turning off notifications, deleting one app, and placing your phone in another room for 2 hours. You'll feel discomfort first, but clarity comes right after. And ask yourself this: if a distraction costs you your dreams in slow motion, is it really harmless? At Stoic Daily, we believe protecting your focus is protecting your future. Comment below. I reclaim my attention. What's one distraction you'll face head-on this week? 2. Discipline is the door to freedom. Everyone says they want freedom, but most people confuse it with convenience. Real freedom isn't doing what you want in the moment. It's being able to choose what's right, even when every impulse pulls you the other way. As Epictetus said, he is free who lives as he wishes to live, who is neither subject to compulsion, nor to hindrance, nor to force. That kind of freedom isn't loud. It's built quietly, choice by choice, like laying bricks no one sees until the structure can stand on its own. Think about how control is lost, not in one dramatic collapse, but in small surrenders. A distraction here, an emotional reaction there. Over time, your day starts to feel like a boat drifting with the current, not because the water is strong, but because no one is holding the oars. You want change, but your habits keep steering you back to the same shore. Wanting success without discipline is like planting seeds and never returning to water them. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. That delay feels harmless, even comforting. Psychologically, it protects you from discomfort and failure. But tomorrow becomes next week, and soon that comfort turns into quiet regret. Not just regret for lost time, but for the growing gap between who you are and who you know you could be. That gap is where self-doubt grows. Try this. For 1 week, treat your goals like appointments with your future self. When it's time to focus, put the phone in another room. Cut off the noise, expect resistance. Your mind will look for exits, excuses, and negotiations. That discomfort is the signal you're reclaiming control. Stay with it. Ask yourself, if I keep living like this, am I building a life I'll respect? Each time you follow through, even imperfectly, something shifts. Your confidence stops coming from motivation and starts coming from proof. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Control doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means not letting emotion grab the steering wheel. A disciplined person still feels fear, desire, and frustration, but they don't let those feelings decide direction. They choose their path deliberately, even when the road is uncomfortable. At Stoic Daily, we believe freedom begins the moment you stop outsourcing your choices to impulse and circumstance. Drop in the comments. I choose self-mastery. What is one habit, one distraction, one excuse you'll remove this week to take your life back? 3. Mastery begins where comfort ends. True freedom doesn't come from breaking chains. It comes from holding your own leash. A person who cannot control their cravings, emotions, or attention is not free. They're just reacting, drifting through life like a leaf in the wind. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Discipline and sacrifice are not punishments. They are the tools that build inner stability. Without them, your dreams are castles in the air, beautiful but floating. It's easy to be excited when motivation is high, but what happens when the mood fades? Discipline is the bridge that gets you across. Look closer. The reason discipline matters is that your brain is designed for comfort. It seeks short-term ease, not long-term excellence. That's why every meaningful pursuit, fitness, learning, and growth requires friction. Sacrifice is the friction that shapes you. It is the sculptor's chisel that chips away at weakness. And without it, the masterpiece stays buried inside the stone. Picture someone alone in a dimly lit room before dawn. The world is asleep, but they're already up, training, writing, building. There's no applause, no promise of reward, just effort, repeated, consistent, not because it's easy, but because it matters. They're not competing with others, they're conquering the voice that says, not today. That's the real opponent. Try this. For the next 7 days, set one discipline you'll protect like sacred ground. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Cut one harmful indulgence. Don't tell anyone. Just do it in silence. Feel the resistance. Watch how your mind protests. And when it does, smile. That's the moment of growth. Ask yourself, am I living to feel comfortable now or to be proud later? When you learn to love the silence of effort, something changes. You stop needing applause. Your reward becomes your integrity. While the world waits for results to cheer for, you already know who you are. At Stoic Daily, we believe success doesn't come from loud declarations, but from quiet discipline. Comment below. I choose the hard path. What's one comfort you'll give up this week to reclaim mastery over yourself? 4. Plan like a strategist. Focus like a warrior. You don't rise by accident. You rise by design. Many people confuse dreams with direction. They say they want to succeed, yet their days are scattered, chasing one thing, distracted by another. No map, no system, just noise. But movement without aim is just drifting, and without structure, even the most burning ambition fizzles out. Marcus Aurelius said it simply, if you don't have a consistent goal in life, you can't live it consistently. Your brain isn't naturally wired for long-term clarity. It's drawn to urgency, novelty, and comfort. That's why planning feels restrictive at first, because your mind resists what it can't control instantly. But that resistance is exactly why it matters. Structure is how you reclaim authorship of your time. Focus is how you protect the chapter you're writing. Imagine this. A house without a blueprint becomes a pile of scattered bricks. A mind without a schedule becomes a tangle of distractions. Now imagine a builder who lays just one brick a day. At first, it feels slow, insignificant. But after months, while others are still talking about building, he's already living inside what he created. That's the power of deliberate time. You don't need to be a machine. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. or follow rigid routines. But you do need rhythm. You need to know which hour of the day is sacred. You need to make it non-negotiable. One focused hour is worth 10 scattered ones. Try this. Today, block off 90 minutes for your most meaningful goal. Protect it like you would a meeting with your future self. No phone, no noise, just you and the work. Do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. At first, your brain will fight. It'll say just 5 minutes online. You're tired. You deserve a break. But if you stay the course, something quiet shifts. You begin to enjoy the silence. You start to see through the fog. This is more than productivity. It's identity. You're no longer reacting to life. You're shaping it. Ask yourself, am I building something real or just scrolling through borrowed time? At Stoic Daily, we believe structure isn't a cage. It's the staircase you build toward your higher self. Comment below, what's the 1 hour you'll protect this week like your life depends on it? Because in many ways, it does. 5. Fall in love with the process. We live in a world obsessed with outcomes, numbers, titles, applause. But the Stoics understood something most people miss. Results are just milestones. The process is what shapes you. If all your motivation lives at the finish line, every delay will feel like failure, and most people quit right there. Think about how disappointment really forms. You work hard for a while, results don't show up fast enough, and doubt creeps in. Not because you're incapable, but because you tied your self-worth to an outcome you don't fully control. When you fixate on results, every setback feels personal. But when you commit to the process, setbacks become training, not judgment. Every meaningful achievement is built the same way. Repetition, friction, adjustment. You don't become capable by winning once. You become capable by showing up when nothing seems to be working. That's how discipline, resilience, and adaptability are forged. Quietly, gradually. Picture a long road carved through rough terrain. The destination matters, yes, but it's the walking that strengthens your legs. If you stop enjoying the walk, you'll never make it far. This is why people burn out. They chase an image of success without respecting the daily labor that creates it. Try this. For the next week, stop asking, is this working yet? Instead, ask, did I show up today? Measure progress by effort, not reward. Write down one small win each day that proves you stayed committed, even when motivation dipped. You'll notice something shift. Anxiety loosens its grip. Comparison fades, pride grows quieter but deeper. When you learn to value the process, you regain emotional stability. You're no longer at the mercy of praise or disappointment. You stop racing others and start outgrowing your past self. This doesn't kill ambition, it sharpens it. At Stoic Daily, we believe peace comes from honoring the work, not worshiping the result. Comment below. I commit to the process. Are you chasing outcomes, or are you becoming the person who can sustain them? 6. The power of sacred silence. Imagine if your mind were a crowded train station, voices shouting, thoughts rushing, opinions crashing like arriving engines. That's modern life, noise without pause. But solitude is when the last train leaves, and for the first time, you can hear the echo of your own thoughts. Not to run away from the world, but to return home, to yourself. True solitude isn't running from life. It's stepping back to meet yourself without interference. Marcus Aurelius didn't fear being alone. He used it to sharpen his reason. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And where does that imagination spiral? In overstimulation, in noise, in others' expectations. Because most people don't fear silence, they fear what might rise within it. Old wounds, doubts, questions they've been avoiding. But this is exactly where power begins. In stillness, those illusions fade. You stop performing, you stop reacting, you start seeing. Solitude is the gym where your inner strength is trained, where your emotions meet silence and you get to ask, what's mine? What's noise? What matters? Imagine a snow globe violently shaken. That's your mind on constant stimulation. Solitude is setting it down, letting the chaos settle until you can finally see what's inside. Try this. For the next 3 days, spend 30 minutes alone without phone, music, or distraction. Let your mind breathe. Feel the discomfort, the restlessness. That's your nervous system detoxing. Sit with it. Then write, no filter, what came up. Notice how that space reveals not just thoughts, but buried clarity. Ask, am I building a life for others to admire, or one that feels right when I'm alone with it? Because the truth is, your greatest breakthroughs won't come from crowds or praise. They'll come in quiet rooms, in silent choices, in hours where no one claps, but you still keep going. At Stoic Daily, we believe silence isn't weakness, it's training. The one who can be alone and still stand firm, that's someone no storm can break. Let silence be your strength. You've made it this far, not by chance, but by choosing to turn inward, to focus on the only thing you can control, yourself. In a world addicted to noise, distraction, and validation, your decision to walk the quieter path is already an act of strength. But this isn't the end. It's the beginning, because the real work starts when no one is watching. When you keep showing up, keep building, keep choosing silence over spectacle, action over approval. So here's your final reflection. Can you stay committed to your path even when applause fades? Can you believe in the value of your vision, quietly, consistently, patiently? If the answer is yes, then you've already stepped into a power most never touch. At Stoic Philosophy Daily, we believe silence creates strength. Drop that phrase in the comments below if you're walking this path with us. Share how you've stayed focused on yourself, even when the world pulled you in every direction. Like this video, share it with someone who's learning to stand tall in their own solitude. And subscribe, because the next lesson will take us deeper into discipline, clarity, and self-mastery. See you in the next one.
If you're seeking more, discover the full path on my channel.